Always remember.
Hello there, everyone. General Kenobi, say it back. And welcome to the Determined Focus podcast, where we do indeed yap about Star Wars. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, someone who, without him, I probably would not be sitting here on this very podcast right now. I remember getting off of a very long shift during my job in college, like 5 years ago, and seeing a dude dressed as Captain Rex creating absolute gold on TikTok. I immediately hit follow, of course, and from there on, he was a catalyst that made me see the power of the Star Wars community, especially in the space of blossoming short-form content. Now, after that half a decade, this legend, in my opinion, has now been lucky enough to be in Star Wars a few times. Truly, he is the living example of not giving up on your dreams and that you can never have too many hot toys. Please welcome to the show, formerly Rexing Around, now Michael Cannavo.
Wow. Okay, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. No, but thank you. That is the nicest thing anybody's ever said about me, and was the sole reason why I agreed to come on. So I'll go ahead and head out, guys. Thank you.
Wait, you got it. That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Minute 30 seconds.
Right.
We did it. Shortest podcast in history.
I don't know how to follow that up. I'm sweating right now because that was so nice and it made me so embarrassed. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to be here.
Yeah, dude, thank you, Aaron. It's funny. I was going to bring this up because we just got back from Rebel ScumCon like 2 weeks ago, which was a blast, and we got to host a creator panel. And one of the questions that we asked was if there was a piece of content that the other creators saw that inspired them to do their own content. And everybody gave great individual answers and kind of what inspired them. But I was sitting there as they were answering, and I was like, it was definitely Michael. I remember that was the first thing that I saw. I think it was. I could probably tell you it was like a choose your own character, like in a video game, and it was almost like an idle animation, and it was you as Rex. Yeah, and I was like, that's so creative. That's so cool.
Funny. Oh, what a double-edged sword that was. A double-sided lightsaber that was. There we go. Star Wars reference. Because that really thrust me into, like, I don't know, people's headspace very regularly. Those videos, I amassed 500,000 followers in like 6 months on that app, which was insane. And yeah, if you look at my run on that app, it's very short. But that stuff got more views than anything else I had done for the previous 10 years. So I kind of almost, it's kind of the biggest thing I've done, but it's just me doing ridiculous dances and being absolutely unhinged because I knew that was the content that was hitting. But I'm grateful too that it kind of brought people like you to me and kind of broadened the community a bit and made going to Disneyland way more fun because of everybody that I would get to meet there.
Yeah, no, everybody. I could probably list on like one hand of the people I was like that were kind of the blowing up on my algorithm during that time. And it might, to be honest, like I don't go back and like check my camera roll. It might still be saved because I remember I sent it to one of my friends and being like, oh, this guy's really cool.
Crazy. Well, thank you. It's funny because I never thought of myself as a cosplayer, which is a crazy thing to say. I think, if you go back to our earliest videos, there's some comments that are like, these are just a bunch of frat dudes wearing plastic. And that was kind of the energy that we had brought to the 501st when we first started making videos, which is where I kind of got started in the community it was just a bunch of dudes who really liked the Clone Wars, who had grown up enough to be able to afford to build a clone trooper. And nobody was really doing it at that time. And I came from a YouTube background, so I was like, well, I'll just start vlogging our adventures in the kind of Casey Neistat trendy vlog style that was very popular in the mid 2010s. And it just exploded. And it's funny because we kind of still talk about it. Like I'm definitely in that cosplay community. I love a costume. Like I'll buy a costume on a random Wednesday, but it's so interesting because if people are like, are you a cosplayer? I'm like, no. But I do everything that cosplayers do, and I go to conventions and I have bins of costumes. So I'm still trying to understand what that title is. But again, I'm grateful that so many people kind of gravitated towards it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, we like to start the show here, and this links into your cosplay, not cosplay former username, now not your username. I mean, I think you're pretty
Identity
well known. Yeah, exactly. You are known for. You and your friends are known for dressing up as clones or troopers, to be more accurate, but a lot of clones. So we love to start Determined Focus with a good blind ranking. So are you down for a blind ranking?
God, I've seen you do it on other episodes, and I've always been like, at least I never have to do that because I'll be too on the spot to decide. So
welcome to Determined Focus.
Oopsies.
There's no way you can mess this up. We're gonna be doing a clones blind ranking. This is specifically clones of Jango Fett. So
I feel good
like
about this
other.
one.
Okay, there's gonna be 6 spots here. I had a hard time making it just 5. I figured 6 was a good round number.
1 through 6 is Rex. Done.
They're just all Rex. Can't go wrong that way. He might be on here. You don't know. Will, are you graciously keeping track? Perfect.
I got it.
All right. Well, the first pick for you is going to be Omega.
6.
Wow.
Sorry,
Wow.
I'm gonna get flamed.
yeah, you are.
But I'm nothing if not a man of my principles.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Bad Batch. It just didn't resonate with me the same way that the Clone Wars did.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I understand. That is interesting. I didn't know
I'm
that.
gonna get canceled. I told you this is gonna be the end of
this is the end.
It's fine. That is not the craziest take we have had on the podcast.
No,
People said some stuff that Grayson and I have visibly been like, I'm sorry, what? No, that's fine.
I guess I might regret it. I'll tell you if I regret it later. But we're gonna lock her in at 6.
Okay. All right. Your next pick is Commander Cody.
Up there.
Okay.
I in a lot of worlds I'd go 2, but I do worry about maybe a sleeper, so I'm gonna go 3.
Okay.
Up there though.
I think it's a safe spot for Cody.
Yeah, it's not a bad placement.
Well, the next one is going to be. We already have a Mega on the list, but we're gonna throw in Alpha. We got to throw in Boba Fett.
Five.
Wow, that's the.
See, you said the Omega thing wasn't a crazy take, but that's
I will explain everything once the list is locked in and cemented.
Okay,
cool.
I cannot wait for this. For context, Will has Boba Fett tattooed on his leg, so. Yes.
I got Boba Fett right here.
There you go.
Oh wow. Okay.
Doesn't mean I don't love Boba Fett.
But you're just thinking of the Pantheon.
I have a thing here.
Okay, I understand. Next one is going to be Hunter.
4.
Okay, I respect it. Next one is going to be Gregor.
Yeah, you caught me on this one. You did. You set me up and you played me dirty. So early in the episode to be losing trust.
Gregor is where the line has been drawn?
People kind of sleep on Gregor, guys. I'm just saying.
I love Gregor. I love Gregor in his commando outfit that we see for suit that we see for 30 seconds. I mean, what do I can only put him at 2, yes?
I think you have 1 or 2 left.
You have the number 1 and the number 2 spot left.
You have absolutely sabotaged me. I guess I can't move him around, right? It's locked in.
This is it?
Okay, 2.
Okay.
If you drop a dogma right now or something, I'm signing off.
Well, it stinks because your number 1 is 99.
Is that true?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna click it close.
No,
it's so bad.
No, it's Captain Rex. You got it.
1. Thank you. Thank you.
I did not put him on here.
Thank you for giving me that.
Yeah.
He is the clone. He is the clone. You have to put him on.
The clone. I have built nearly 30 suits of clone trooper armor since 2015.
Wow.
I have surrounding me. I have 18 clone trooper helmets right now.
These are all the ones you've made.
Yes. I love clone armor. I don't even know if I like Star Wars, guys. I love clone armor.
That's getting clipped right there.
So look, when I put Omega last, look, if they had put her in a suit of like strapped clone armor, sign me up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm thinking clones, I'm thinking, okay, their suits and they're the vibe of them in their suits. So their personalities in a way as a conduit through their suits. And that is what, so, you want to talk about kicks, you want to talk about tech, like the crazier the suits and the crazier the paint jobs, the more that I love them.
Dude.
So Gregor is a good fit.
I cannot tell you how often when we talk about the Bad Batch and I talk to people about the Bad Batch, Tech's helmet is one of my favorite clone helmets of all time.
Of all time.
It's fantastic.
I think it's right there. Right there.
Dude, okay. I was about to say, it's like, you've done a pretty mean Tech.
Thank you. I was very proudly the first to ever wear a suit of Tech armor. At Super 73, we had a printer that had a 3-foot by 3-foot print bed. And so me and one of our engineers, and I say me lightly, my engineer designed out the whole suit, but we designed a Tech suit, printed it in one print, the whole suit in one print, which is crazy.
Whoa,
that's
so it was
insane.
on one bed. Did the entire thing. I sanded it, painted it within like 2 days of the design being like released officially. And then I showed up and it of course blew up on Reddit, blew up on Facebook, blew up on Instagram because it was like days after his suit debuted, really.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And there you go. Big Tech guy over here.
Dude, he's the best.
I was about to say, it's like, dude, he's the guys, I used to be kind of a Tech hater. I'm not going to lie. I used to not.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Listen, it's
you
season 1.
Got a Tech vibe, dude.
Oh, thanks.
Look at your glasses.
That's a huge compliment.
It's a massive compliment. Look at my glasses. You think I wear these because I like round glasses? No, it's in memorial of Tech.
Oh, I respect it. They brought me back around. Okay, here's the thing. Is I remember I was watching season 1 of Bad Batch, and I was like, okay, he's just the smart guy. But then season 2, they were like, no, here, you go back and watch. Season 2, they really started developing his character.
Made you fall in love
and I
with
was
him.
like, and I'm like, I don't like this because I know what they're doing. I know what you're doing to me right now. And it works. It works. Yeah. It's
I feel you. I get it. He was a little bit he was hard to relate to in the first few viewings of him because he was so one-dimensional in that, like, hey, his job was the only thing he cared about, and the mission was the only thing he focused on, and his value to the mission was all very technical and mathematic, which I think a lot of people identified with. But then as they started to show that other side of him, I was like, they're gonna kill him.
It was as soon as they did that episode, it was like episode 3 of season 2, where he's like, it's like the pseudo pod racer. It's like he's like in the little, like he had to like win that race. I was like, oh, they gave him a solo episode.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. I had the same feeling when I saw that. Devastating.
And I love that episode. I was just like, oh, I'm concerned now. I'm such a hunter guy, but it's also because I love like the commando kind of silhouette, and his armor is pretty much a Republic commando. The helmet's a little bit different, and he's basically just like Wolverine meets Rambo. So okay. Now I'm curious. Okay, this is a curveball before we get into the next question. What I want everybody to answer, because Will, I don't think I even know yours. What is everybody's like ranking of the Bad Batch members? This also includes
easy.
Will should start.
Okay. This also includes Echo and Crosshair. I want the full roster.
Now this is characterizations. This is not just how cool their suit looks.
This is just them as characters. Like,
who
are your
how
favorites
cool their
from top to
suit
bottom?
looks? It might be a little bit different. It is Tech. It is Wrecker. It is Crosshair. It is Echo. It is Hunter.
Crazy, huh?
Hunter is my 5.
Crazy.
Dude, wow. Okay,
I honestly would
silent.
put Omega above Hunter if I was counting Omega as part of the batch.
Why? Too cliche?
No, I think Hunter is Hunter is so, and it's not because I don't like it. It's just because it's so in your face. He is so 1980s action figure coded that it's like, that's cool. But I feel like if anybody was to be one dimensional, it's Hunter's is pretty one dimensional to me as a character. He's always the yeah, the only thing you need is a good knife. Like that kind of guy.
That was
And
a
I'm like,
surprisingly good. Do you just pull that out randomly with no prep time?
no, I've been working
Oh
on that for
gosh.
days, knowing that we were going to talk about this. No, I truly, if there was a one-dimensional character, it's I just never am like he's fine. Like, he's the one guy you're like, he's never going to die. They're never going to kill him off because
Sure.
he's like the dad. So it's like,
You didn't think he was going to die in season 3?
No, they were never going to kill off Omega. He's basically Omega's dad. Like, they were never going to do that. He was too much of the main guy. So it made me more interested in the other dude. I was way more interested in Echo than I was in that like knowing them having to go back and save Echo, like peak, dude. I loved Echo, and he also has a badass helmet too.
Yeah, he is sick.
I was out on Echo until the joke that landed better than I think any joke in Clone Wars landed, where she said, "Is there an Echo in here?" And he said yes, and it was just, I was like, "Oh, is this my favorite character?
He's the best."
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. Like, he's okay. Echo is, and then I want to hear your picks, Michael. Echo, he doesn't get I will say, out of all the characters, he is kind of like dancing around in Bad Batch a little bit. Like, he gets some episodes, but there's sometimes where like there's full like blocks of episodes where he's just not there.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. And I remember being like, man, this kind of sucks because I really like Echo, but then they locked him in at the end, and I was like, all right,
Echo's great.
I'll eat my
words.
words.
It did seem like they kind of almost just forgot him in a couple episodes. The writers were like, "What are we missing something?" And they're like, "No, just keep moving." And then they go to animate it, and they're like, "Oh wait, shoot, put him in the background."
Yeah, Echo is out there somewhere. No, it was like, because then he shows up in some of like the coolest episodes where like all of the other clones, like Fireball and Mimic and Hauser. Dude, I love Hauser.
I named my dog Hauser a few years back.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For that reason.
That's Hauser. Dude, that's sick.
Hauser competes with Rex, and that's
dude.
I love a rebel more than I love a clone. I love a rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I should. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So, what are you ranking the Bad Batch members before I spiral?
Okay, let's rank clone troopers from 1 to 1,000. Let's do that instead. Let's spend the next 2 hours, and what we'll do is we'll just rank our. We'll just go top 1,000. We won't go further than that.
I'm gonna pull up the Wikipedia page.
You need a Wikipedia page? 48 hours.
Yeah,
I remember I saw
live stream just naming clones.
I remember I saw someone, and it was years ago, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're a Clone Wars fan. Name every clone," and they like copy and pasted it, and they're like, "Oh god." They just keep going and going and going. They're like, "Please
Reddit,
stop!"
Right? Wasn't it on Reddit? Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my god." Yeah, it's so funny.
Good.
Okay, no, and I want to know yours.
Me before you?
Yeah.
What a gentleman. Tech.
Correct.
Yeah.
Echo.
Okay, not a bad
Crosshair.
Take. Not a bad take.
Echo's extendable arm that never actually made the cut of the season, but was in the Hot Toys figure. Wrecker, and then Hunter.
Wait, what? An extendable arm? Is this like a attachment on his Hot Toy or something?
And everybody's wondering, is this a spoiler for a big episode? It just never showed up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's my ranking.
Those Hot Toys are phenomenal, though. They're real.
They're right there. The whole Bad Batch.
That's crazy.
That's
did
awesome.
Did they ever do an Imperial Crosshair? Okay,
but I'm ready.
I was about to say that's one of the best. That's one of the best suits. No, okay,
I agree.
Sorry, Will. I think okay. I'm like a hybrid of y'all's lists right now. Okay. So, this is so tough, bro. It changes like every week.
Grayson, like Hunter at 1, Spider-Man if he was a clone, Kanan if he was a clone.
I'm actually gonna start ranking the clones of Spider-Man now.
Clone Saga, baby.
Clone Saga. Okay, is Hunter my one? And I gotta stick to my guns. I'm going Echo for 1. I'm going Hunter.
Crazy.
No. I'm not. I'm backtracking. I was thinking. I'm gonna do.
That's embarrassing. You crumbled to peer pressure. Oh my god.
No, you. I was like, I'm thinking out loud. I'm going Crosshair 2.
Okay.
Listen. Listen. I know he's like a kind of an ass like most of the show, but I do really like his character arc. 3 is Hunter. 4 is Tech.
Crazy.
5 is Omega. 6 is Wrecker.
Bonkers to have that golden lad.
One-dimensional Wrecker just yells and is a baby the whole. Oh man, I just want to blow stuff up.
He's the
Grayson,
heart and soul.
Very impressive Wrecker impersonator. You guys, are you moonlighting as Bad Batch fan animation voice actors?
We're in D. Bradley Baker's master class where he teaches his clone voices.
I mean, I will
him doing clone voices.
I will say, shout out to the homies Beyond the Dune Sea, our friends Connor and Seth. They did a whole Bad Batch season 3 saga, and they hit me up and they were like, "Hey, we need clone voices."
You guys could have done it.
I think Will's Wrecker is better because Will, you can get to like into like classic Nick Fury doing like Wrecker. Anyway, Hunter is the easiest. But yeah, I remember they were like, and so I remember just going to work every day, just screaming in my car, like doing like, cause like, I was like, I can't just do it in my house. I feel weird about it. So I'm like,
right. No, it's way less weird to do it in your car.
Yeah. Everyone's like,
at a stoplight screaming.
Yeah. Everybody around you thinks it's way less weird.
I do it like, I do valet. And so I'm like, I was doing it today and I was like, I'll do like mall impressions of like.
In other people's cars?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I hope they have a dash cam.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Going back and he's like, too late for the Republic to fall. What is he talking about? Like, yeah, no, I am a Hunter guy. I do think Hunter and Wrecker, like for me, are like maybe the least. They don't go through a ton, I guess.
Sure. No, I get it.
Yeah.
It's wrong. I get it. It's wrong. I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean,
Michael.
Okay. Well,
but you putting Omega above Wrecker is interesting. But I guess you don't. I guess you have bad taste. So that kind of no. I mean, wow. I guess you don't care about the suits. That's what I meant to say. You don't care about the suits.
Listen, if Omega had a suit, it would go crazy. But she just doesn't have one yet.
You think she'll come back? Dude, we're going to lose all the viewers if this becomes just a Bad Batch recap podcast. We are 2 years too late for this, guys. We have to move on.
This is not. She'll come back eventually. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, if she comes back, she's wearing an X-Wing pilot suit, and she's not wearing a clone pilot.
Yeah.
Dude, but imagine it. But if she's got the X-Wing helmet, but it's got like the Bad Batch symbols like on the paint job of the helmet.
It's an X-Wing helmet, but instead of the visor, it's text glasses.
Or she rocks a Phase 2 clone pilot helmet, which is the peak clone helmet design of all time. It's the greatest clone helmet design of all time.
I don't disagree.
Phase
not
2
the
clone
open face, not the that's like the Phase 3. The Phase 2 is just the I have 1-to-1 and I have 6 scale. I can grab them and show you if you need it, but it's the one with the it's the pilot helmet. It's got like the breather here.
Yeah.
The oxygen. Hold on.
Phase 2 clone. He's getting the hot toy. Oh, yes, with the little like brick. That is a really good one.
It's sick.
Oh, yes, that's awesome, dude. Okay, that is really good. I love the bulky. And there's a helmet that has like a bulky skull on the front. I'm such a sucker for that, dude.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a lot of work for that bit.
Yeah, no,
but now,
that is sick.
This is the clone that Ahsoka saves, and he goes, "Thanks, Commander."
Yep.
I don't have I don't have a clone voice like you guys, so don't judge me.
Yeah, That is before we get into the next question. This is the last thing I'll say. One of my favorite moments in Clone Wars Season 7 is that little moment because I'm like, dude, she's just like so tight with her company, and I love that. Like anytime I watch that scene, I start tearing up, and I'm like, she just saved this clone. Like
it's cinema. He wasn't even panicked either. Once he saw her, he was like, he just kind of sat there and waited.
Yep.
So good.
Those 4 episodes of Clone Wars Season 7 I have never cried more in Star Wars than watching those. And anytime I put those on, I'm like, when R2 runs off the ship right to Ahsoka, it's just like, oh man. And why do they all keep calling me? Why do they all keep calling me Commander? It's like it's a sign of respect. And then she says it to Rex, and it's like, I get it, Commander.
All right, Grayson, go ahead and throw it on. We'll just watch the 4 episodes real quick.
We'll do a reaction.
Live. It's a what is it? Almost over 5 years later.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Look it up. Dude, it ended what, March or May of 2020?
2020.
Grown men hung up on this cartoon.
And I will be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's just going to happen.
Me too.
Well, we kind of danced on it a little bit, but I have a question and Will has a question. They're kind of a interlinked thing, but I kind of just want to ask, for people who don't know, you can make it as brief or as long as you want. What was just like the inspiration for you back in the day, like jumping into the content like world, just being like, I'm just gonna do this? Was like, what was the catalyst?
Yeah, I guess it started on Vine. I was a big lover of Vine. I used to Vine a lot. I Vined a ton. I only ever, not a big Viner. I think at most I had like 30,000, which felt respectable, but not enough to be in a ton of Vine compilations, unfortunately. But I was very kind of into the Star Wars stuff. I would do a ton of Star Wars Vine videos with my action figures. And when that kind of went away, I was like, well, what do I like? I like making videos. I want to keep making videos. And all my friends that I had met through Vine were becoming YouTubers that were like blowing up left and right. And I was like, I should do something too. So it actually started at the same time as my business. I started a business that kind of relied heavily on me being a YouTuber for it. And I had the camera out. So I just kind of started double duty with armor. I went to a Ahsoka book signing with Ashley Eckstein, and I carried this 332nd helmet that I made. And the 501st was there, and they saw me, and they were like, "What are you in the clubs?" And I was like, "No, I just made this myself. I just like to make helmets." And they were like, "Come to an armor party." That's where I met the guys. They're like, "You'll fit in good with these guys." They were just rambunctious. I showed up, and it was like this frat house full of armor parts and beer. And it was just a bunch of dudes making suits of armor. And I was like, this should be documented. So I asked them, I was like, are you guys cool if I like make this a video series? And they were so uncomfortable. If you go back and watch those first videos, it's funny because Star Wars attracts people who aren't necessarily super social in a lot of areas, because we gravitate to Star Wars because we identify with it. And ordinarily growing up, you don't have a ton of friends. I think now it's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But so there's all these like really awkward dudes that are like getting together to build suits. And we started to develop this like rhythm and this energy. And I was like, this should be like a vlog series. So at the time I was working pretty closely. My company was working with Casey Neistat, an old vlogger from YouTube.
Yeah.
And I just adopted almost a copy of his vlog style, but then put it to Star Wars, and it really resonated with people. The videos were just really popping off. And one day I walked up to a parade, and I had my camera here and my bin with my armor here, and somebody goes, "Oh boy, it's the Rex and Around show." And I was like, that's really hurtful, because she was super mean. Probably one of the meanest people I've ever met. And so I decided to name a podcast after that moment.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of when it all started rolling.
Dude,
yeah, so that's sort of the history of it.
That's crazy that it was, so someone was making a jab at you, and they were like, that's crazy. She was. So in the 501st, it's interesting. There's a lot of people back then, and it's very different now, but there's a lot of people back then that were like, what we do is sacred. It's not a joke. Don't film it. It's not about like internet. And I was like, you guys, I think there's another angle here. I think that there's a way that we could bring a ton more attention to what we're doing, and that we could get a lot more people to be a part of it if we make it easy to join, if we kind of lower that barrier to entry, because the 501st was famous for like being very difficult to get into.
Yeah.
And what we did with the clones was show people how simple it was. And not only that, highlight the community that the 501st had, When I got married, all my groomsmen minus one, which was a guy from Vine, were clones from the 501st.
Dude.
So like it really became a huge part of my life. And I think the videos highlighted how great that community building can be. And that's sort of what I've always done, both in work and in Rex and Around, is build community. And yeah, some people were just very anti, kind of a little gatekeepery. And so she would always call me the Rex and Around show as an insult. So I was like, the best way to weaponize that is probably just to name a podcast after it.
That's it.
That is a beautiful origin. Yeah, no, I definitely think I am friends with people in my like local 501st and things like that. And I think there might be a little bit of a generational divide, but I think the people that I'm friends with that are closer to my age are a lot more like I'll go to a con and be like, hey, can I like get all these videos of y'all like and edit them later on and just do this for you and just to put this out there? And they're like, yeah, of course, but I don't think that was always the case.
Yeah, and I think it took a long time for people to understand that. I was with Kevin from Imperial Surplus, and Kevin does the kits that we built. Greatest in the world. Check him out, Imperial Surplus. But I was like, hey, Kevin, can I see your email? We were at dinner one night. So in his email account that receives all the incoming requests, I just typed in Rex and Around. And I'm not joking, there were thousands of people that said, who referred you Rex and Around?
Wow.
And that, I think, kind of clicked there in that moment of like, this is working. What we were doing was really working, and it was encouraging younger, new people who were previously like either turned off because it was hard to get into, or maybe they had a bad experience. They were suddenly getting this way where they could just interact with a video online rather than being there in person, which is very tough for a lot of people who have social like anxiety and social struggles to do. So YouTube kind of came to them, and now you've got legions of cosplayers and 501st members that are wearing armor that I think, because of the internet, not just because of what we were doing, but because of everything on the internet, that barrier to entry has kind of dropped down.
Yeah.
And
everything is incredibly accessible now too. I think, as somebody who worked in marketing for a long time, the speaking to old heads about, hey, it would look good if people were able to go on Instagram and see what your company is doing, and they go, but why? Nobody, the people I'm talking to aren't doing that. And it's like,
they're not on Instagram.
Yeah, but the millions of other people who are probably would like them to know what your company is doing, right? So same thing for something like the 501st. But I think nowadays it's incredible how accessible it is. I mean, I would say probably a third of the people I follow on Instagram are people who are making stuff with a 3D printer. And like, even if that's not necessarily the barrier of entry for any of this stuff, but like just people who are out there making their own stuff, it is so common nowadays, especially in the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah. No, it's good to see it kind of being weaponized in a good way. Like sort of this movement of social interaction without any fear. And people are able to practice and try things. Like I said, the TikToks I made were so cringy, but I wasn't around anybody, and I would wake up the next morning, it'd have 4 million views. And times where I was in the Chick-fil-A line or the In-N-Out line, and the person there would be like, did I just see you on TikTok? And I'd be like, maybe, yeah. And it was just this different experience that like opened up our niche to millions of people. The reason I say that is because like that person has no knowledge of Star Wars or conventions, but my video got put on their phone. It's crazy.
Yeah. When it comes to what you were doing, and taking that first step into making content, was there ever a thought at that point of what it could turn into, whether it was the content specifically or just the background that you were building and what you were making, that it could turn into being involved in certain Star Wars stuff? Was that ever a thought?
I made it in one of my first podcasts. I said, as a joke, I was like, welcome to the Rex and Around show. This is a platform for me to be able to get enough attention to be in Star Wars. And once I'm in Star Wars, you'll never see me again. It was a joke. And
wow.
I would say it multiple times, to the point where if there was a break in the podcast, like if we took a couple weeks off, people would tweet like, well, it looks like Michael got in Star Wars.
That's funny.
And when I did, I held to my word. That's why the podcast kind of ended, a big part of why it ended. But not in that I was like doing a joke. I just was so terrified of getting in trouble with Lucasfilm that I was like, I'll never say another word online, I promise. But as soon as that podcast kind of took a hiatus for the first time, I had multiple tweets that were like, you're in Star Wars, aren't you? And I couldn't respond to them and I couldn't tell them, but yes, I was. Like, it was wild. And that came from being in it. And to answer your question, like, truthfully, no, I didn't have any understanding of anything we were doing. And I wish to some degree I had a better idea of it. I think what you guys are doing is kind of everything that I wish I had done, where you build things around what you're doing and you build value beyond just doing your one bit of content, where, Greg and I almost never had guests, unless they were there in person with us. We didn't ever have merch. We tried, we sort of had the idea of it. We never had a Patreon. We never had channel memberships. We never had anything that was like, be a better part, be a bigger part of this community here, rep this community. Like, we just were kind of having a silly goose time. And there was no thought of like, hey, how do we build this as a sustainable vehicle for ourselves? And I wish if I could go back, and something I'm kind of working on now is, when I build something, I want it to be sustainable so that people can come in and almost be a part of it and like own a part of it and then grow with it. And then kind of go out there as a sort of representative for it and kind of do it on their own. So there was zero thought in what I was doing every single day. I was just doing what made me happy. And then it got me to what made me happiest. And then it was kind of like, turn the lights off and leave the building.
Yeah. You got to that end goal. And speaking of that end goal, are you allowed to, as vaguely as you need to?
No one's ever gotten mad at me for anything, so I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Okay, I was going to say, I was like, how much can you talk about the Star Wars projects that you were involved in?
Yeah, I haven't talked a ton about it. I have kind of hinted at briefly. I've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm happy to kind of answer any questions you guys have. I think we're far enough away from it where I don't. What's going to happen? I got bit there early on. I was in I got invited to this very large podcast with very big creators that were pretty intimidating. I'm talking like in the millions of followers, and they were debating whether Kenobi was a good show or not. And they were like, we'd love to have you on because you're a big Star Wars fan and you're in it. And I was sort of just destroyed the entire time. And it got to a point where I was trying to defend it, and I maybe shared a bit too much, and that got picked up by like news sources. And so I kind of like pulled way back, and I reached out to the news sources and I was like, delete that. That's not, and they did, it was fine. But I have a good grasp on what that was. And what it was a really good opportunity from a really cool person who was working in the production that, was like, hey, look, if you come here at this time, I can help you to be a part of the show. And it was so vague, and it was a random DM, and it looked like it was a scam or a setup to get robbed.
But
I went, I emailed, and then I went, and it, next thing you know, I'm in this warehouse trying on a costume and being fitted for a costume. And as they're fitting me, they're looking at my tattoos and they're like, do you know what this is for? And I was like, yeah, I do. And they're like, you're the luckiest person in the world right now.
That's awesome.
And I was very excited. And the code for the characters that we were as extras was refugee. And I was, let me show you the whole picture. I get there, I get handed a card, and it says partisan. As a big Star Wars fan, I know what a partisan is. I know that Saw Gerrera has partisans. I know that they're a part of the rebellion. And I was geeking out. And I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to get to be a rebel? Because they're all code names.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to get to be a rebel in Star Wars? Which is the ultimate dream.
Absolutely.
And I'm holding it so tightly. And somebody walks up to me and they go, hey, somebody didn't show up. We actually need to change you out. And they took my card and handed me another card, and it said refugee. and I said, oh my gosh, am I about to be somebody who's just running away in Star Wars? Like going from being a rebel to being a refugee. I was like, am I just, because in your head, it's so vague. Everything is so, nobody says anything. It's top secret. Everything has a code name. Your costumes aren't even named correctly because they're just wisely so. And I was like, okay, don't freak out. Don't freak out. Like, what an opportunity. But deep down, I was like, if this is my only shot, if this is where my face is showing up, do I just run away and just try to get into something later? Like, do I just put the card down and sprint to my car? And that was like in my head, is like, because think about it, guys, like you get an opportunity to be in Star Wars and then they pull out a costume for you and you definitely look like a shepherd and you're called refugee and you're like, am I just going to be loaded onto a shuttle? Like and so there was this like kind of crisis inside of me, is like, this is all any of us want. Like being in Star Wars is all any of us could ever want. How selfish and gross that I'm like not super happy that I'm looking at this card refugee. Like, so I was fighting that battle with myself, and I called Greg, and Greg was my old co-host on the podcast, the guy that kind of got me into building armor. And I was like, dude, here it is. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm sitting. I know it's ridiculous. Like, what are your thoughts? And he was like, can I be honest with you? And I was like, yeah. And I can't repeat what he said to me because it was really rude and really profane, but he was basically like, you're being the stupidest version of yourself I've ever seen before. You take this role, you be grateful for this role, and you have the time of your life. And that was what I needed to hear, because I think that battle in me was the same place, but it was, again, guys, like, this is it. This is your one, to all we could know, the one opportunity to be a part of this thing that you love so deeply. So we get on set and I'm in. I've like, my attitude is right where it should be. I've fully embraced, if I'm going to run away from the Empire, I'm going to run as fast as I'm going to be the fastest one running away. I was like, and they were like, okay, so here's the backstory in your characters. Refugee is a code name. A lot of you actually are force sensitive, and you're in this underground railroad for force sensitive users called the Path. And you're trying to get yourself and your children to safety to rebuild the Jedi Order. And I was like, what an idiot I am. What a stupid baby man to ever have any thought that like that I should ever not trust in the universe of Star Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
And suddenly I'm looking at the partisans and I'm being like, are you a rebel? I have the Force. Like, I'd be pretty embarrassed if they just gave me a gun. So suddenly the whole thing changed, and we were there, and I day one, I see a guy wearing a Blast Points, Blast Points podcast. Yeah. It's just been a lot of years. And I walk up and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that podcast. And he was like, Rexing around? And I was like, yes. And he was like, who let you on the set? So I talked to him, and he was he was on the costume team. And, just out of, I don't want to share his name, but he's very big in the Star Wars community too. But it was like the coolest thing in the world to show up on day one, like you're in a new school and people already knew me. Like people recognized me.
Gotta be amazing, dude.
I had friends day one, which was the coolest thing in the world. Not only that, there was other people from the community there. And most of all, Christina Ariel was there, who is famously Star Wars, famously geek fandom. And I spent 6 weeks with her. From that point on, I got to listen to her stories, got to hear her takes. She was like royalty there. Because Lucasfilm proper like placed her there and said like, here, we want you to be a part of this thing. And so every time she got a little scene, everybody was like super happy about it. And so that was a blast. But so we shot for 6 weeks, which is an incredible amount of time when you watch the episode. I guess just being new there, I didn't have a full understanding of how much gets cut, like how much story they can't fit into that. So to a degree, I was bummed. I got to do a really cool thing, and I've never talked about this before. I got to do a really cool thing where I had an action scene, and we did it 7 times and it got cut. And I'm like, it's always going to be in the back of my head. Did I not sell it enough? I run into this hallway, and it's when the Imperials are coming into the hangar bay through like the dirt tunnels, and Kenobi is fighting him off. One of the partisan girls gets shot. I run into the hallway and I slide with my DH-17.
The Rebel New Hope.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the gun that I had, which was so cool.
That's awesome.
I was bummed because there were clone blasters there, completely got cut. But a lot of the equipment they used, because Jabeam was an old Republic base, was clone gear. And so I'm going around telling everybody what this stuff is. Nobody cares, but I was so excited about it. And so I run in, I slide, I'm shooting, and I throw my gun across the hallway. A rebel catches it, covers me. I run in. Kenobi is blocking these blaster bolts. He picks up this girl and hands her to me. He covers us as we're leaving. I get shot. He blocks. We make it out. The only thing that you see is me holding my stomach as the blast doors open. It's very vivid, and I'll send you guys the shot, but the shot opens up with me running through the door, holding my stomach. It looks like I just got a cramp from running. But I can promise you I was shot by stormtroopers.
That's awesome.
Which is so cool because I got shot
insane.
And I lived. And on like take number 6, I hurt my back so bad, but I didn't tell anybody because I was like, you're not taking me out of this. So I was in bed for like a couple days after that, but I was like, there's nothing that's going to stop me from being a part of this magic.
Yeah.
That's what it was magic. It was probably the greatest experience of my life. And I was so grateful to be there. And I was so grateful with how kind everybody was. And it was so intense. Like when they're shooting, I mean, it is an intensity I've never experienced in anything else. And all you want to do is the best job you can possibly do. And I can't imagine doing that on a daily basis. I have so much respect for those people. Yeah. And I'm so lucky I got to be a small part of such a interesting and crazy story. And Ewan McGregor was, I mean, magic.
Insane.
When he walked in on his first day, we're all sitting on the transport ship because they shoot it all out of order. And he walks around and he says, "Hello there" to everybody, as like in character as Obi-Wan. And people are just geeking out and eating it up. And of course, Christina gets to sit next to Ewan McGregor. So we're all just kind of looking at her and giggling, and like, because there was a bunch of Star Wars fans on set. We're looking at her and giggling, and man, it was magic. And spending 6 weeks with those people, like I'm still friends with them, so many of them. I've gotten to see them go on to be able to do other things, but we became a very tight pod because of it was during COVID. So it was like, I mean, there was times I lived in a hotel for 6 weeks. I didn't even want to go home because I didn't want to risk getting sick. Yeah. So I just lived in a hotel next to the production, and, we'd be there every morning at 5 a.m. And I've never been happier to wake up at 3:30 a.m. and just sit and watch the clock and wait for the bus to come pick me up.
Yep. Absolutely.
It was the greatest. Yeah. I mean, the mountain, it was the peak of the mountain. It's like climbing. It's like looking at a mountain the whole life, and then your whole life. And then waking up one day and you're at the top of it and you're looking down and you're like, how did this just happen?
Dude, you had your you had your binary sunset moment, and then you had your Luke Skywalker, like, hey, you did it, bro. That's like
100%.
So you spoke to before, like, obviously there's some people love Kenobi, some people really hate Kenobi. Star Wars fans are intense, right? Mm-hmm. We are obviously people that, like, I love all of Star Wars, despite if there's things that I maybe don't like in Star Wars. For me, what I always say is, while I love the stories of Star Wars, and that's obviously what, like, is the biggest appeal, we also love the stories behind the stories. That's what I always say. And so for you to be able to share a testimony like that and what you went through, and you're just like glee being part of that,
Yeah.
I will never think of that show. Like I will always think of that and that joy that you got to go through. And even if that action scene is cut, I'm like, yeah, but that like happened. That was like he was there, you know, like
you were a lot. In one of the takes, I put to get the woman from Obi-Wan, I put my hand out and it accidentally went into Ewan McGregor's Jedi robe sleeve, and we got tangled up. And he goes, "Oh dear, looks like we've become tangled up." And I was like, yeah. You just want to hold hands for a little bit while we're here? Like, I don't know. Yeah,
it was insane.
It was incredibly special. And there were so many moments. I was on set with Corey, who's super well known in the Star Wars fandom. Mostly all the reason that I was able to be a part of this, but he and I got to spend so much time together, and there's so much stuff happening in the background of every scene that's just Corey and I goofing off. There's a moment where, you know, they select half of you to run into battle, and the other half have to go pick up the camp. And I got selected to go to battle, which I can't tell you how much shifting and finagling I did on set to be everywhere I needed to be.
Yeah.
But there's a moment, and you can see a brief glimpse of it, where I have to run off to battle. And in the background, I look at Corey, and I'm running off to battle, and he stops me and he hands me a pack of snacks, and he says, "Take this." And I take the snacks and I put them in my pouch, and then I run into battle. And like, that's not going to be seen by anybody. And it's like so deep cut. But the fact that two of the Jedi on the run in the background of that, you know, one of them's making sure the other one has snacks before he goes to his big battle is the funniest thing in the world.
That's some of the best little background stories. We were talking to David W. Collins at Rebel Scum, and obviously him and Sam are such good buddies. And they're talking there's so many moments, of course, because they're doing a lot of the ADR and the background voices and things that you probably will never hear.
Right.
But they do like little things like that for themselves, where they're like, they just say, I mean, because
the different eras of the TCs,
the ship of like, oh, the next model, you know, and it's like, and sometimes they make it in and sometimes they don't, but it's like that's like the little stuff like that is what makes it super cool. And then correct me if I'm wrong, were you not in Ahsoka as well?
Yeah, dude.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. What was I got to be that like?
Oh, yeah, you were a zombie trooper.
Yeah. What a cool way to be a stormtrooper. So, you know, you mentioned like the show's, you know, different moments being hit and miss and whatever. And I've kind of grown beyond, I think I really did used to hyper fixate on what was good and what wasn't good. Now I kind of am just like, let's just have fun and watch it. You know, and Ahsoka was so fascinating. Of course, I walk onto set, and who is there but the same guy who helped me get dressed in Kenobi,
really,
from the Star Wars community. And he goes, you know, and we'd become very good friends at that point. We'd go to Frank and Sons, like the shopping mall for collectibles near us regularly, and get lunch. And he was like, I'm 100 feet away from him. There's 15 stormtroopers getting dressed, and I walk in. And he goes, "You," at the top of his lungs, and everybody turns. And goes, "They let you back on set?" And it was just such an incredible moment getting to like be there with him again. And then, you know, he was like, "Nobody is touching you but me. I am suiting you up." And man, that armor is incredible. It was rubber, which is so cool, because wearing plastic armor, because you can't have noise. And so the ability to be at a full sprint or marching and nothing is making any noise was unbelievable. I am very proud to say I feel like I wore it extremely well, having so many years shooting up as Rex. I was bummed. I did see the Rex suit before the news came out, and I was like, you guys, I talked to the costume department, and I was like, I just want to let you guys know, I've been wearing a suit of Rex armor for the last 10 years. I'm very good. I would know how to put my biceps on the correct way. It's a deep cut if you guys know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And they very much did not want me to be Rex, and that's understandable, because it would have taken the I couldn't have helped it. I would have taken the ownership away from Star Wars in that of just, it would have been my whole personality. Can you imagine like being Rexing around for so long and then getting to be, so they made the right choice to not let me anywhere near that suit. But I will say, like, getting to wear official armor and be there as Thrawn is talking with Balin and the Night Sisters, and you're just like,
insane.
I got the mask on and I'm just stoic, but under the mask I'm like this.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Because it's at the top of the tower, right? When the Chimera comes in, you're like one of the troopers backing Thrawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am, dude. Yeah,
that's
that's bananas. There are literally Lego minifigures of those.
There's a hot toy, right?
Oh, that
you're
is
like,
true,
I'm getting
right there. There's a hot toy right there. Yeah, that was unreal. That was unreal. And big shout out to Corey on that one as well. That was such a special day. And so there was a couple things. I couldn't go longer than that weekend, so I was just there for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. But there were other things that I was leaving on vacation the next day, so which is a bummer. But there were other characters that I was going to have an opportunity to play that I didn't, which was a clone, which would have just
Was that in the flashbacks, right?
I assume so. Yeah, they called them. They had a code for it, and I'm not going to say it. But they had a code for what they call clones, and they were like, "We want you to be one of these," and I knew it from Kenobi that was the code for it, and I was like, "Tell me when," and I was out of town, unfortunately. But I will say I would have put the biceps on the correct way. That really sat deep in my gut.
I can imagine.
That one really, I was like, 20 years of this, 20 years of Captain Rex and clones, and we're just throwing the biceps on however we want to throw the biceps on.
God,
it just got flipped around in combat.
It was running really fast. It was running really fast.
It made it through so many layers of approval. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Right. I got to be a stormtrooper.
I was about to say one of my favorite stormtrooper designs. I mean, and also the fact that that's like, I mean, okay, Will and I are so Ahsoka pilled. Like that show, we love that show. I know people there's critiques with it. It's not perfect, but like from again, like Balin and Shin, some of the coolest new characters. You've got was Morgan Elsbeth in that scene as well?
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, all of them were right there, and I was just like, "What? How am I?"
Live action Thrawn, dude. Yeah, I mean, like crazy.
And this was long before he started to leak. Like this was, I was like, I'm getting a view here, and so nice. And Ray Stevenson was just so everybody was so nice to us, which I think that's been like such a constant on these sets was that. Mm-hmm. The way that they treat everybody, it's so different than any normal production because it is like a community and a family. Yeah. And like I was behind Ray Stevenson. There was this particularly tall stormtrooper and Ray Stevenson walks over to him and slams him on the shoulder and grabs him. He goes, "You're a tall one, aren't you?" And it was just like, and kind of shakes him around. And I was like, that is the coolest, like to get to interact with a principal actor who's so focused and kind of like deep in their thought, but they're goofing around and like and bringing you into their conversation. And like, because as an extra, you're a prop, like you don't talk, you are in your best behavior. But the fact that constantly these actors are coming up to you and like interacting with you, in Kenobi, I was with Kumail for days on end. There's a lot of scenes where we're chatting in the background, which I'm so bummed because they did close-ups on those scenes. There was like so much that I was like, am I going to have like a part in this? But he was so nice and very chatty and like making jokes about other people to us. And that was kind of a constant is the way people treated us, which was wonderful. And when I was the stormtrooper, I went to my tattoo artist and I explained the helmet I had. And I was like, can you give me a tattoo of this helmet with like rockers that say "Born to Die and Die Again"? Because that would be the hardest tattoo you've ever seen. So I had it and I had it for a long time. And just never came up. You know, I wear pants, it's on my leg, like it never came up.
Yeah.
Nobody ever noticed it. And now when I wear it and people comment on it, I'm like, thanks, that's the stormtrooper that I am in Ahsoka. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, so we were talking to Diana Lee Inosanto at Rebel Scum, and I mean, you were in a scene with her, which is crazy. And that's what she was talking about, was like with the behind the scenes of that, like how tight knit of like a family community unit it is. I mean, of course, especially for like the leading actors, but even still, like when all of y'all are together, it's really sweet to hear that also goes into, you know, the, like you said, even though you're an extra, you're a prop per se, that it kind of bleeds into that, both for Kenobi and for Ahsoka. That's awesome.
It definitely did. It's such a humble group of people, and I think they're just so excited to be a part of Star Wars that it's almost like there's no walls. And again, there were so many moments where we're looking at the principal actors like they're the popular kids in high school, and we're like kind of giggling over who's dating who, and you know, you have this sort of like one-sided relationship with them. But you know, they're very nice to include you on things, and you're treated super well on set. And I got to be there when Ewan and Hayden were reunited, and that was unreal. I was 3 feet away, and Hayden Christensen walks up behind Ewan and taps him on the shoulder, and then moves, and he swings around, and Ewan screams, "My brother," and gives him a big hug. And I was just like, such a, what do they call it, where you have like an unhealthy one-sided relationship? They have a word for it on TikTok.
Stalker? No,
yeah, basically.
The only thing I could think of was an out-of-body experience, because
that's what it was.
And they led so far into that with the marketing as well, of like them being back together, and like that moment was everywhere, and like that you got to see that live.
They were best friends, dude. They were best friends on set, and you could see how much they loved each other. And getting to just sit there like that Patrick meme where he's just like this, kicking his feet, and his eyes are just all like cute. It was just that the whole time. I mean, Star Wars really is like, name another franchise that can do that. Like they're just that they don't exist. Like props to Star Wars for having that kind of ability to pump out that sort of feeling.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we don't want to keep you too much longer. We're running a little bit out of time here. But you got to be in two different eras of Star Wars, and one thing we like to do here on the show is, and you will get your moment to shine right after you answer this question, but we like to ask the previous guest, we like to ask them to ask a question for the next guest. So our previous guest was my friend Eric Hill, Punch It Chewy Press. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not.
Of course, yeah. Good
okay,
friends.
Perfect. He has a question for you, and that question is, what era would you like to live in most in the Star Wars timeline? And you could do canon or legends, whatever. And you don't got to get into the specifics of like who you're going to be or where you're going to be, but generally what time period.
It would probably be the Rebellion.
Really?
A Yavin based rebel. I think Andor just solidified that for me.
Wow. Yeah.
I know when I mentioned the kind of like, do I run comment that I made, was because that is the ultimate dream for me. It's like, as a kid, you grew up and you think about like, who am I? I wanted to be either a rebel soldier or an X-Wing pilot. That's it. And so I hope that gives more clarity into my comments about like being kind of nervous of like, this is my one shot, knowing at the time or not knowing at the time there would be a second shot to be a stormtrooper. But that was the idea of like, if this is my one time, I really want to be a rebel. And, maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. I'm not chasing, more opportunities, but in terms of living, that would be it.
I mean, listen, we're Star Wars nerds. I'm sure you have thought at lengths about lore for your appearance and your character, and of like, where's he from? What's his name? Where does he end up going? All of this stuff. So, maybe one day you do get to be a Force-sensitive rebel or in the New Republic or something.
Mash them all up a little bit. Yeah, look, I love that era, that like gritty, in a way, I think modern politics in the world today, you're sort of almost living in that era where things are bubbling up, and it's kind of like, okay, well, who's going to be the first to say something? And I think that's always been very important to me, is to try to be vocal about the right things. And that's what I really admire about the rebellion, is they were up against like these, unbelievable odds, and yet they continued to wake up every day and jump in their, old little X-Wings and do their best to bring down the Empire.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, listen, our whole branding is X-Wings, and I mean, literally, I just got this phone case. Like, that's our whole thing. We love Rebels. We love X-Wings. Yep. So yeah, that, and we're huge Andor fans as well.
Who isn't? We all.
Yeah, it's there. We were talking at dinner after Rebel Scum, and we were talking about our Disney shows, and I'm like Andor is almost like in this, like, it's just like in this little bubble where I'm like, I can't even, like, it's just so good and it's so sacred to me that I almost like can't put it, like, and this is not to downplay the other shows at all, because I like a lot of the other shows, but it's just like it. Oh God, dude, it's so good. So we can sit here for another hour talking about Andor. So maybe we have to get you on another one to talk about that, because we talked about Bad Batch for 45 minutes.
What are we doing, guys? Andor was right there.
I know.
Bad Batch, like, hey, love.
Yeah, we gotta circle back to Bad Batch, but
God, I love Andor.
It's so
good.
My
gosh. So now the question is, before Will tease it off for the last question, what is the question you have for our next guest? And you can take some time. We can edit it out if we need to.
I guess my question to the next guest would be, what was that moment where that obsession burrowed its way into your brain? What was the defining moment for you as a child or an adult where something latched on and you were unable to escape it? Because I think we've all experienced that, and I would be very interested to hear their answer.
That kind of leads into our ultimate question, Will.
Yeah, no, it does. It's funny you say that, because the way our favorite question to ask guests, and truly anybody who is in the Star Wars community, we like to say it is a short question that potentially has a long answer. Why do you love Star Wars?
So everybody just go ahead and lean forward and lock in for another hour here, and we'll get through this pretty quick.
It's completely expected.
First off, thank you for all the time and letting me yap.
Dude.
Sometimes I catch myself talking a lot, and I wonder if it's requested that I be speaking this much. So thank you. If not, that for letting me run.
No,
the podcast format is built for people to do this, and for us to it is a Star Wars podcast. So if people need a place to come and yap about Star Wars in a long form format, this is the place to be. So we are so happy that you were here to do that.
Yes.
Well, thank you. It's funny, as a former podcast host, that I had so much insecurity about talking too much. So thank you. For me, I think, it's the stories and the community. I think there's something so relatable to being alone and being the little guy and being the underdog. And I think, we talked a little bit earlier about the social anxieties that so many people in the community have, and that people with social struggles gravitate towards Star Wars. It can sometimes be the reason why there's so much drama in the community, because you put a bunch of people who struggle socially in a place together and have them talk about their opinions, and things are going to blow up. But there's also such a magic about that. And I don't think any other franchise has captured that. I think, I'm also a big Marvel guy. What I don't necessarily see in Marvel is that same sort of community building. There's a ton of identity in Marvel, and that's what I love about Spider-Man and Iron Man, is the identity that's there. But there isn't that community that's there in Star Wars, where it's this, fraternity. If you have a Star Wars tattoo and you see somebody with a Star Wars tattoo, you have a reason to talk to that person.
Correct.
And I just struggle to find anything else that will show me that somebody has so many of the similar, viewpoints and lifestyle decisions, and even in a lot of cases, like political alignments. as people who are also in the Star Wars fandom do. And that's why, when you go to be a part of Star Wars, on set, by the time we left, we were sitting there in these circles. And at one point I felt like I was C-3PO on Endor telling everybody the story of Star Wars, because I was one of the most well-versed, Star Wars fans there. There was other ones, but everybody left that set being obsessed with Star Wars. There's people who had never seen Star Wars before who have Star Wars tattoos now. That's like a very powerful thing. And I wish that there was more of that in this world, because it's less dividing and more unifying. And I think anytime you find an opportunity to unify with somebody, that power is so much greater than the divisiveness of everyday existence in this world. And so for me, those moments at Disneyland where somebody would run up and we'd have a 20-minute conversation because they had seen a podcast episode or a TikTok, or being at a convention and going by myself and ending up with 30 people at the end of it because the community is so strong. It is just like, it's addictive. And there was a long time where, after I fell out of the community, I felt lonely and I felt kind of lost. And it was, it is still something I'm kind of working through, of like that identity without Star Wars. And that's been really difficult. And so to anybody who's watching, I say, like, really embrace the community side of what this brings. Don't take it for granted, because it is, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
That is,
I love that.
Well, yeah, that was awesome. What we love to say here is there is no wrong answer to that question, but that was absolutely the right answer. So
thank you.
We appreciate. You
guys are way too nice to me.
No, dude, seriously, like we truly appreciate you being on here and talking about Star Wars in the way you did, because you are a fan and we are fans as well. So to be able to, like we were saying, have a platform to yap about Star Wars, and for that one person listening to be like, hey, that's why I love Star Wars, or even maybe they never thought about it in that way, which is why we always ask everybody. Is a lot of times people say community, and there are those pillars of why everybody loves Star Wars, but everybody's perspective is truly their own, and for other people to listen to that answer from people like yourself is it's informative, and it is important for people to hear. So we appreciate you answering in the way that you did, because that was awesome.
Thanks, guys. I hope you'll tell me if I ever say anything that's off track.
I mean, Boba Fett being that ranked that low was a little wild.
There was a little bit of outrage there, and that makes me feel better. I'm a big Boba Fett fan, just not as a clone. There you go.
It's years ago. I did a podcast with a friend, and we got into that exact same debate where we were talking about the clones, and I was like, I gotta nerf Boba a little bit, because he's not he's a clone, but he's not a clone trooper. So I get it.
I don't think he identifies as one. So I'm going to abide by his wishes.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, understandable. He's Boba Fett. What are you gonna do? Dude, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for not only your contributions to the Star Wars community, but Star Wars itself, even if it was 2 small roles, and maybe, hopefully, more in the future. That if that comes, if the Force delivers that to you.
Thank you.
And we would love to have you back on at some point as well, because I'm sure, because a lot of these episodes, especially with new guests, people that are new friends, we end up it's just kind of cracking the shell. And then it's like, oh, we have still so much more to talk about.
We have so much we could argue about.
Yeah. Oh,
truly.
70 blind rankings, just tier list, everything.
Thank you, guys. I guess if anything, I would love to, I'm building something right now. I've just been missing it so much. I'm building something that I think is incredibly cool. And it came from a place of feeling lonely and feeling like I had climbed the mountain and I didn't know where else to go. In a sense, Star Wars was always like, I want to be in it. I want to be in it. And there was never a thought of what's beyond it. And so I got a production team, brought a production team on, and it's like the real deal what we're filming right now. And I'm sitting with the people who have influenced me and inspired me, both famous and not famous, and doing, sitting there and doing their hobbies with them, and talking about what keeps them passionate and motivated, And so that's going to be coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Ideally on YouTube, we're literally pitching it to services, streaming services, just because we have the opportunity to do so. It'll probably be on YouTube, but how fun to get a rejection from Netflix. It means you tried. And
as long as you're down there, you're down there.
Yeah. So hopefully, when that comes out, we can kind of reconnect and talk about that. That'd be fun.
We'd love to.
I would love to hear more about it. That was my last little inkling thing. So you nailed it perfectly. That is going to do it for this episode of Determined Focus. If you want to support the show, feel free to like, subscribe, do all those things if you wanna. We also have merch. Will's got a hat on. Do I have a shirt on? No, I have an Andor shirt on because I like Andor a lot. But
thanks, dude.
Yeah, we try our best. Will, got anything else we need to plug before we wrap it up?
I think that's it. Other than may the force be with you.
Oh, and your focus determines your reality. That's the more important part.
Always remember.